I give up on communication, so might makes right, do what I say. That's not how things are done as a leader. That's how things are done in North Korea. Hey there, parents. I have an interesting video and a different style video than probably what you're used to on this channel. There's a Bill Maher video going around. I saw it on Instagram talking about trad dads. Yes, Bill Maher, the person who, is outspoken about not only not having children, but not liking children, not wanting children. And so many parents are quick to take his advice on parenting. So we're going to take a look together at this video that has been causing a lot of controversy and really a lot of split opinions on this, right? I found this originally on an Instagram page that I like to follow. I like the things that they share. And this came up and I found it really strange. And I shared my opinions on it. And I got some heated, sometimes offensive, and judgmental comments, not all of them, but many of them from my response to this, just in a comment. So I want to take a little bit of time, open a discussion here in response to this Bill Maher video talking about trad dads. If we haven't met yet, my name is Jesse, and I help parents by providing tools, strategies, and support so that they can release parenting guilt and raise their children to be more empowered human beings because the parent themselves feel more empowered. You can take a look below. I have a Patreon page that I'm starting, a community where you can join. You can actually join for free and get a lot of free resources and help make parenting a lot more fun, a lot easier, and a lot more fulfilling. So let's take a look at this Bill Maher video. Now, in full transparency, this is not a reaction video in that this is the first time I've seen this. This is not the first time I've seen this because, as I said, I've been engaging with people in the comments. We are not as separated as it seems. That Instagram comment section is one of the worst places to have an actual conversation about something so, deep and nuanced. And also in full transparency, this little mark came from, well, I don't know where it came from, but playing with my kids probably, or our dog. But anyway, let's get into it and look at where we are starting already. So he started to talk about boundaries, which Bill Maher for sure doesn't understand what boundaries when it comes to parenting actually is. It's not taking control and running your house like a dictatorship, right? As much as setting the boundaries. Like, these are the limits. If you cross the limit, these are the consequences, and let's work within that, right? So let's go.
This is why the traditional dad, the trad dad, needs to make a comeback. Not all the way back to the 1950s psychopath who never said he loved you and hit you with a belt, no.
At least there's that.
But just back to the dad who believes that because I said so is a perfectly legitimate answer to any question a child may have.
Dad, why is the sky blue? Because I said so. Why is the ocean blue then? Because I said so. Why is grass green? Because I said so. Why are you angry when you come home from work? Because I said so. Leave me alone. You see where I'm going with this. Let's go back and listen to what he said. Listen to his words with his, his Bill Maher tone. I'm going to try to keep insults out of this, but with his Bill Maher tone. Let's listen to the words.
You with a belt. So is a perfectly, but just back to the dad who believes that because I said so is a perfectly legitimate answer to any question a child may have.
Because I said so is a perfectly legitimate answer for any question a child may ask. . Does that sound right to you? here's what I teach. And here's what I teach not only my kids, but myself, just to raise my level of communication, to raise my level of understanding, to raise my level of parenting, which Bill Maher doesn't have. But because I said so is not an answer. Because I said so is essentially saying, waving a white flag and saying, I give up on communication. So might makes right, do what I say. That's not how things are done as a leader. That's how things are done in North Korea.
Just back to the dad who would never say anything as stupid as, my kid is my hero.
This is probably the closest that we are probably going to come in agreement here, but for very different reasons. I'm not saying to not say my kid is my hero because, it's going to raise a weak society or entitlement or whatever. But no, I say be careful on the attitude of my kid is my hero, because there's a natural order of things, right? That we look up to people. Now, I also don't understand what hero is. I think if I've asked before, what's a hero? And if you want to comment below, what's your definition of a hero? I'm not really sure what that word means. Like, I'm not sure I could define it, but I do understand that there is a hierarchy of being a hero. A hero is somebody that comes to the rescue. A hero is somebody who guides you. A hero is somebody who saves you. A hero is somebody who you aspire to be. That's what I kind of have in mind. And if we are saying my kid is my hero, that kind of turns that model and that relationship dynamic around. And I get it. It's a sweet thing to say. It's nice. You're thinking, oh, I'm bringing myself down, I'm humbling myself because my kid is my hero. I look up to him. He inspires me. But you're not really giving them motivation. You're not empowering them. What we're doing when we say somebody is our hero is, without knowing it, we're putting a burden of responsibility on that person, because being a hero is a burden of responsibility to a level. I mean, let's look at a movie, Spider-Man, right? Remember in Spider-Man 2, when he got overwhelmed with the pressures of saving the city in a thankless job time and time again. And he ultimately lost his powers for there for a while because of the pressure. It's a burden of responsibility to be a hero. And when we change that dynamic and we put that burden of responsibility, that title, onto our kids, it might sound cool, it might sound sweet, it might sound humbling, it might sound inspirational to them, but without knowing it, we're putting a burden of responsibility onto them. And that's not something that we should be doing, if that makes sense. Obviously, it's for vastly different reasons than Mr. Maher.
Or where do you want to eat dinner? Or
that face, every time I see this, that cracked me up. Look at this fake smile and fake interest at what's coming next.
Hero. Or where do you want to eat dinner? Or one more story, and then we really have to start thinking about going to bed, okay?
What's wrong with getting a child's input on what they want to eat for dinner? Are they not a participating member in the family? Or do we not want to raise them and empower them to be decision makers? And what's wrong with asking them, what do you want to eat tonight? What do you want to eat tonight? You see why tone is important. What do you want to eat tonight? Or what do you want to eat tonight? Tone matters. Let's listen to Bill Maher's tone when he's trying to make a point.
Or one more story, and then we really... Or where do you want to eat dinner?
Where do you want to eat dinner? Where do you want to eat dinner? vastly different, aren't they? Is that right? It's not this false dichotomy where, okay, well, then let them choose everything. Let's go to McDonald's every night. No. But what we're doing, we're raising them to be participating members of the family. And decision making is a skill that many adults don't have because of this very type of parenting from an old school style parenting. You do what I say. I'm not a short order cook. You eat what's in front of you, and that's all. You have no say in the matter. How does somebody learn to make decisions if they are never put in a position to make decisions? Does that make sense?
Or one more story, and then we really have to start thinking about going to bed, okay?
I think it was Einstein that said, if you want a child to be intelligent, tell them more fairy tales. If you want them to be a genius, tell them even more fairy tales. Stories are how we communicate. Stories are how we build their imagination. So many kids get their imagination squashed by following advice like this and saying, my way is the highway, it's time for bed, get into bed, we need to run a disciplined ship, get into bed, quit arguing, right? But whereas if we invite them, oh, you want another story? We can do another story, right? And that's not to say you're a doormat. That's not to say you're a pushover. If you read them one more story and you're building that connection, yeah, if you read it and say, okay, fine, let's just go. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldilocks and she went, that's not a story. But if you're like, okay, if you're intentional, and that's the thing, where is your intention? Where is my intention when reading these stories? Where is my intention when I am giving them the reins to choose or I'm asking them for their input when choosing where to eat dinner? Where is my intention? What is my intention? What am I looking to achieve? Is it that, fine, then you just choose? Or am I going into it with the intention to, look, this is a moment of training them in decision making, training them to feel that their opinion matters, training them to feel that they have power and control in their lives, training them to use their imagination, training them or building this connection with them so that we have a connection that runs deep, so that we have open communication. I'm not looking to run a dictatorship in my house. I'm looking to be a leader. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
You see, and his tone is everything, and he has a very selected audience, and you can tell the type of audience that he has and the type of energy he gives off by the types of responses I was getting on Instagram, right? It's this, kind of arrogance, this like intellectual type of, piety almost, which is ironic. Sounds very religious. Might makes right. Whereas I know he's very outspoken against religion. Kind of strange, right?
Really have to start thinking about going to bed, okay?
What if we had that same situation and we implemented what he said before about boundaries? What if we implemented boundaries and we said, okay, let's do one more story and then that's it. And then we're going to bed, or at least one more story and then lights out. Deal? Wouldn't that make it a lot easier?
Yeah. Trad dads don't negotiate. They say,
I've trained my kids to negotiate specifically since they had an opinion, since they could reason. Like, I want a cookie, or like, one more video, and then no, say, oh, don't just say no. Ask for 3 more videos. And then I say, no, one more video, three more videos. Okay, two more videos. Okay, two more videos. And then you get an extra video. Again, we're building life lessons here. It's not a dictatorship, because the funny thing is, following his advice, this advice where you don't teach your children decision-making skills, where you don't teach your children to have an opinion, where you don't teach your children proper boundaries, where you just say my way or the highway, this is what we're doing, and they have no critical thinking skills because they weren't allowed. This is what raises a weakened society, because there are no critical thinking skills. Ironic, isn't it? I teach my kids to negotiate, and that raises my negotiation game, because now my daughter's 9 and she knows how to do it. So I have to stay ahead of her. It's going to keep growing like that.
You will apologize to your mother. Don't make me turn this car around. Some things just happen because life is unfair. Clean your room. Be quiet. The adults are talking, and it's not all about you.
Some things just happen because life is unfair. I can get on board with that. It is. I mean, some things just happen. People die, people get sick, we miss, certain things, whatever. Life is unfair.
TRAD dads
sometimes
don't negotiate.
And it's all perspective. It's teaching them perspective.
They say, you will apologize to your mother.
Forced apologies. Forced apologies accomplish nothing. Remember, we're trying to be leaders. Forced apologies without teaching them why, what went wrong. Let's see how we can work them to a point where they understand and they want to go apologize. Maybe they feel bad and they would go apologize, but they don't have the skills to understand that that's the proper next step. What if we give them those skills? What if we give them those tools to say, you feel bad? Well, what do you think you should do about that? What would you want me to do if I talk to you that way? Right? Forced apologies teach resentment. Forced apologies teach powerlessness. And what do you think happens to powerless people the next time that they're faced in that same situation? Either they'll choose not to out of fear and guilt, or they will do the same thing even harder and double down on that negative feeling. We're teaching skills here. What to do, how to do the right thing, why to do the right thing, how are you feeling, what do you think you should do because you're feeling this way? And I don't have an applause, sign. I don't have an applause sign for people watching. So I don't have the pleasure of that. But here we are. Let's keep going.
Don't make me turn this car around.
Generally speaking, that is an empty threat, and you never turn the car around. And maybe sometimes you do. And if you say, don't make me turn this car around, and you do, and they get upset about it, well, there you go. You planted your flag and you stuck to it. And then it's not that specific thing is not important. And this is the depth that Bill Maher can't get to because he has no experience. I had a lot of opinions before I was a parent, and most of them have changed, right? But it's not what happens. It's not this moment of don't make me turn this car around. And then whether you do, and then the important part is what happens next. Are we leaving our children there to process what happened alone? Or are we there side by side teaching them what happened, why it happened, how are they feeling, and letting them process it under our control and leadership? This is leadership. We're not running a dictatorship.
Some things just happen because life is unfair.
It's true.
Clean your room. Be quiet. The adults are talking, and it's not all about you.
Do you think there's a little better way to get about it than quiet the adults are talking? I mean, what if the kids were playing? Let's do a little reversal. What if the kids are playing and at the park, and it's time to go home. Let's do like a real life scenario. And they kind of ignore you or they don't want to leave. Come on, let's go. It's time to go. Isn't that the kid equivalent of quiet, the adults are talking? What if we, again, taught a life skill, right? Don't interrupt us because that's rude, but we'll get to you later, okay? Save that story, save whatever. If it's something important, if it's an emergency, you get hurt, you have to go to the bathroom, whatever, then come tell me. But otherwise, let's finish our conversation here and then we'll go with you guys. Okay? Sound fair? Something like that. Again, it's hard to come up with an exact script right now because we're not in a situation. And that's another thing, that the depth that Bill Maher can't go, because he thinks it's, look at that face, by the way. Same thing I thought before I had kids. Well, you just tell them, you show them who's boss, right? No, I can't tell you an exact script to use right now because each situation is unique and has little subtleties. But the general idea is communication, leadership.
Mostly, a trad dad knows he's your parent, not your friend. Hey, buddy, isn't in his vocabulary.
Yes and no. The fact of being too concerned that your kids like you and they are your friends and it takes away from your responsibility is setting yourself up for a difficult job as a parent and setting your kids up for some false hope down the road in life. That's not the hierarchy. That's not the structure of things, right? It goes back to the beginning of saying my kid is my hero, right? It's kind of like going full circle there. It's turning it upside down. So you can't befriend your kids in fear of what they think about you. But at the same time, and I hear this false dichotomy all the time, it's kind of a false dichotomy that to be a friend to your kids or to be a parent, those are not mutually exclusive. It's the same thing like with my co-parent or your partner or your husband or wife. You can be husband and wife. You can also be friends. You can also be lovers. You can also be enemies at times, right? So these are not mutually exclusive. Human relationships are very dynamic. They have a lot of different layers. What is a friend? And let's go to, like, we can write down a list. If you want to do this exercise, take a piece of paper and write down all of the characteristics that make up a friend. You know, they listen, they're compassionate, they empathize, they're there for me, we have fun together. All of these qualities, and you could probably list like 10 just right off the top of your head. Aren't those a lot of those the same qualities that a parent should have as well? Right? So these are not mutually exclusive, but also a friend, like I'm concerned that they might leave me. I'm concerned about what they think, my image, especially like in the teenage years, my image is important. My social status is important. These are not the characteristics of a friend that a parent should adopt. Right? So again, it's these layers that Bill Maher can't reach because he has no personal experience with that. You know, it's kind of like he says earlier on in this.
And before you start in with, but Bill, what do you know about it? You're not a parent. Yeah, I don't give blowjobs either, but I can tell when someone is doing it wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. By the way, I also wanted to announce that I know that a diet of pizza and Mountain Dew is terrible for your health and your heart. So if anyone needs a dietitian, then hit me up in my inbox. You can come to the Patreon and I'll give diet advice too. It doesn't work like that. So this is just what I wanted to share. I wanted to share some thoughts about this because this video has been making the rounds. And like I said, I've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of parents who follow this. And what I found in the comments is they will set scenarios where they've been on the defensive and they've been out of control, and they have to bring out that iron fist. And then they place that into a bucket of what Bill Maher said without thinking about it on another level. I wanted to bring that other level on and open up the dialogue, open up the conversation a little bit more than just comments. So I do welcome anyone who wants to have a live conversation, have a discussion. Whether you agree with him, whether you agree with me, let's open up to a discussion. Let's have a conversation. These conversations, they will be very good to have out in the open, because parenting is one of these things that people are always afraid to tell other parents, how they parent. We feel self-conscious. We always feel like we're doing a bad job. We always feel guilty. And that's one of the things that I do. I provide the tools and strategies and support to help release that parenting guilt and jump out of what I call the guilt cycle. You can find that on the Patreon page too, what that exactly means and how to escape from that. But other than that, I've taken enough of your time. Thank you for watching. Let me know. Join the community for free, and I'll see you in the next one.